Welcome back to the Fenway Focus. I'm Jason. I'm here with Derrik. Episode 49. Woohoo. Opening day was interesting, but Sox end up losing 3 of 4 to the Texas freaking Rangers. Derrik, how are you feeling after this one? I mean, I feel like there's a lot to take away, but it's so early. Like what are we
It
thinking?
is so early. There are some good, some bad, some in the middle. Um, I'm just happy to be back. It's kind of a new era for us, as you'll tell by the episode title. If you haven't been paying attention to our social media, as well, there's this kind of a little bit of a change going on here at the Family Focus. Um, we've decided to kind of make some changes to our schedule, and we'll get into those probably a little bit near the end of the episode. What our plans are for 2025. But just regarding the Red Sox and the Rangers series, it's just nice to have baseball back. Obviously, the Red Sox losing 3 out of 4, not what we would want to see. But at the same time, it's just nice to be back, have a team that has hope, but also be in the regular season. Yes, I think a lot of people are kind of losing their minds. Oh, they lost 3 out of 4 to the Rangers. At the same time, it's early. There are some players having clear struggles. There are some players who are getting out to hot starts. There are some players who are doing in between. But I think if you really want to look on the bright side, there are some things you can take away from the series that are positive. Yes, there are negatives to take away from the series too. But this also too, I'll just kind of throw this in here as before we get more in depth. This is a Texas Rangers team that the year before last year won the World Series. Like, yeah, they had a rough year last year, but like this is a team that very well could be a playoff team this year. Very well could be. So it's not like they dropped 3 out of 4 to the White Sox. We'll put it like that. Yeah, would have been nice for the Red Sox to at least split, but like I said, we'll get into it more. Jason, I just want to know, how are you feeling? Just having baseball back for like regular season baseball.
I mean, it's nice, getting it's one of those things like every day, like there's a baseball game going on and there's a Red Sox game going on too. So that feeling is always nice. I mean, to your point though, I mean it's frustrating because every year they play in Arlington, it seems to be like no more than a series split. Like in 2021, I think they didn't come out with a winning record after a winning like they didn't come out winning more than like 2 or 3 games. Like that's simply put, it's hard to play in Arlington, Texas. Like they've always struggled with it for years on end. So I think when you look at the grand scheme of things, like yeah, that was only 4 of 162. There's still a full season. There's still a bunch of narratives to be created. But when you look at the landscape of this team, there's a lot of good and a lot of bad to take away. I think you look at Rafi Devers, yeah, that's scary. 0 for 16, 12 Ks. Oof. He looks very lost. He has some walks here and there, but just someone who looks very lost. Only appeared in like 2 spring training games. How much of that? How much is it just stuff in his head? How much of it is the mental game? How much of it is actually physically? Yeah, timing's just off. I don't know. He seems like he needs a day off. He won't get the day off tomorrow. But recapping the series, like it would have been a feel good to win at least 2. But like you got to keep your head up in these types of moments, like right, especially this time of year. It's easy to slip away, um, get your confidence down. Like, dude, come on! Like they won opening day, but then 2 of the last 3 games were very close. You had today, and then you had yesterday. The second game, yeah, it was 4-1, but still a lot of positives to take away. Richard Fitz looked solid, other than like the 2 home runs he gave up. One of them wasn't really, I don't think, his fault. The other one was just a terrible pitch. But other than that, like, I think the other thing I want to take away, this is gonna be a long season. If we're for fans that think like, oh, this offense won't wake up, they're gonna wake up. It's a matter of time. People are gonna get hot. Christian Campbell looked amazing. It's just I'll talk about him later too. But my biggest concern right now is just getting on track, right? Just getting the offense kind of situated. I know pitchers are ahead of hitters right now, but you need to solidify something in your lineup. Something's got to work, right? Put your hottest hitters in the 1 through 4 spot. That's how you generate offense. Because then the other guys, they're gonna be further down the lineup. They can work on some things because there's less pressure. That's how you open it up. That's how they start this. That's how they start the season. They get hotter. The weather gets warmer. I know it's in Texas, but still, yeah. I think there's a lot of time in the season. You cannot press the panic button now. You're stupid if you do.
Definitely. And I'll add to kind of that too. Like, can't really press the panic button too because we're positive. I mean, Willie Abreu. Like, we're trying to kind of get into it a little bit. Like, Willie Abreu had an amazing series. I mean, 2 homers on opening day. Just overall great series for Willie. Christian Campbell looks amazing. The Red Sox are getting guys on base. Are they struggling to drive them in? Yeah, like that is an issue. But at the same time, like, you can kind of see the opportunities there. They're just like it feels almost like an offense right now. Like if this were to happen in the middle of the season, you would say, "Oh, like they're ready. They might be ready to break out." Like they had a series where they just get guys on base but can't drive them in. They're ready for like a game where they score 10 or so. I feel like if something like this happened in June or July, that's what like I feel like we'd be saying like, "Oh no, they're gonna have a game. It's gonna start clicking. They're gonna heat up and they're gonna start driving guys in."
They're
Obviously, it's all
close. Like to your point, they
yes,
are close. Sorry to interrupt. They're so close. They're so close.
yeah, definitely. No, I totally feel that, and I think too at the same time, like when we look at like some of like certain things with the series, so that's like the first game. I think there was like 2 for 6 or something like that with runners in scoring position. After that, it just went straight downhill. Like the just amount of guys left on base, which I don't love left on base as a stat, just because it's kind of what's the word for it? I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really show because a guy walks to first with 2 outs, and then the next guy like I don't know flies out or something. It's like you got a guy left on base, but like he was only on first base, you know, which is different than like that happens every inning. You still have 9 guys left on base throughout the game, whereas you have bases loaded for 3 different innings, but that's it. That's still 9 guys left on base at the same time, right? So it's kind of like I don't love it as a stat, but it's kind of that
Yeah.
thing where it's like, but it still shows something because you take that, you take their, how they're hitting with runners in scoring position, which was not good this series outside of the first game. Like you
Yeah.
can see, like like yeah, something just changed. Got to cut down on strikeouts. We probably will get to Raffy in a second. Um, but just in general, maybe cutting down on strikeouts would be nice. Getting the ball in play more with runners in scoring position, which is something Alex Cora always, always, always stresses, is getting the ball in play, putting the ball in play, having guys who can put the ball in play. And I think that might be one of the big selling points they had on Alex Bregman. He doesn't strike out a ton, which, is massive, especially in the league now where it feels like everyone's striking out 20+% of the time. Um,
Yeah, looking
else,
back at it, I mean, it's funnier. I mean, he struck out today in the game, but no, to
yes.
your point, yeah, it makes sense, and it's like some of these at bats, like Carlos Narvaez yesterday, he had a bunch of competitive at bats. Christian Campbell, competitive at bats. He was down 0-2 to Chris Martin today. He did strike out, but it was after he kind of took some tough pitches, protected, and made it full. Made the count full. Jesus Christ. But yeah, I mean, at what point? I think this is a good time to pivot to Raffy Devers. Like, it's early, but at what point do you have to start getting concerned? Because he looks outmatched. He swings and misses at fastballs that are even 99, 96, 95, even 92. He's just something's up. What is it? Is it timing? We don't know yet.
It's a weird one because I feel like if anyone's gonna know, it would be the Red Sox that would know that. If they think it's timing, maybe there's a reason. Maybe that's why they're keeping him in the lineup consistently, even though a lot of people are already calling for an off day for him. The only thing is, do you really give your DH an off day after 4 games? No, it doesn't make any sense.
Well,
Obviously,
sometimes
these are like extreme circumstances, though. Like that's the thing. These are extreme circumstances. We don't know, but we also don't know the situation, right? Maybe it is a timing thing, and maybe he just needs to see more pitching. Obviously, yes, while Raffy wasn't playing on a ton of spring training games, he was playing on the backfields. But part of the reason he was playing on the backfields was because he didn't feel he was ready. Right? Was it a timing thing? Heck, maybe it was a shoulder thing that he came into spring training with, and maybe the Red Sox just didn't let that get out. I'm not saying it is, but I'm just hypothesizing. Like, clearly there was a reason Raffy didn't want to play in spring training games right away, because it was because he didn't feel he was ready. And then he plays in limited spring training games. Now we get to the regular season, and we expect him to be the Raffy Devers, who's one of the best hitters in the league, and it's not happening. And yes, he's been historically bad, But at the same time, too, like, maybe that gives some credence to the fact that, like, yeah, his spring training debut kept on getting pushed back. Maybe we know why now, right? Um, and so I think in some ways, maybe there's a reason they're not playing him at third base. Maybe they need to have him focus on the bat because they know the bat isn't ready yet. Maybe they know he needs some time, right? So maybe that's it. I have no clue what it could be, but I just bring it up because it's like the Red Sox are the only ones who would know if there's something up. The Red Sox and Rafi Devers himself. Nobody else to know. I'm not going to know. You're not going to know. Nobody
Correct.
on social media is going to know. Only the Red Sox and Rafi Devers himself are going to know. And I think that's where we're kind of at with it right now. But it's also a super, super, super small sample size. We have to remember that. Heck, the Yankees hit 9 home runs. Was it yesterday? That doesn't mean they're going to hit 9 home runs every game. Like this
They scored
small.
like 36 runs or some crap
Yeah,
like that in like for their first 18 innings.
yeah.
Like
That's not
that's
going to happen over the course
small
of a
sample
season.
size.
Yes,
They can still
exactly.
very well
Yes,
be a 500 team.
exactly. And I think that's the thing we need to kind of remember. We're only 4 games into the season. As much as yes, every game does kind of matter, especially if you're going to be in a close playoff race. Every game does matter, but at the same time too, we're 4 out of 162. Like there's still 158 games left. There's a long way left to go. I know there's a lot of us who like to kind of live and
You're
die on
not
every
even in
pitch.
April yet.
Yes, we're not even in April. Like, yes, I don't get, like, I understand the living and dying on every pitch, right? I've done it before. But at the same time, too, it's also good to kind of take a step back and be like, hey, like, it isn't great, but, like, let's not kill all of our mental health trying to live and die on every pitch when we, like you said, Jason, we're not even in April yet. Like, we're not even in April. Like, like everyone take a chill pill, enjoy that baseball is back. The Red Sox, the Red Sox lose whatever. Go watch like a Diamondbacks game or something, or go watch some fun team. Go play. Heck, maybe watch the Dodgers. Go watch Otani. Be amazing, right? Who know? Like, go watch J-Rod in Seattle. Go watch
Go watch the
whoever,
Pirates
right?
get walked off on
Yeah.
again
Go watch a
3
Reds
times.
game. Go watch Ellie De La Cruz, right? Something. Like, have fun. Enjoy baseball being back. Don't take it too seriously because we're not even in April yet.
Exactly. Exactly. But some stuff does still frustrate me. I'm sure we'll
Yeah.
get
Oh
into it
no,
in
it
a
still does
second. But
frustrate
like,
us, but like it's not April yet. Not even
yeah,
April.
and pitchers are still I know my thing has always been like pitchers are always ahead of hitters at this point. Pitchers are still adjusting. They're still kind of solidifying themselves in, right? So, I mean, Garrett Crochet, he looked all right. I think this goes without saying. Like almost every pitcher for the Red Sox, like starting pitcher for the Red Sox this series, not bad, not great either. Goes without saying, right? What more did you want from them on their first start? You want them locked down, like like Richard Fitz, quality start today. As much as we say, oh, he was left in too long, quality start, 6 innings, 3 earned runs. You know, uh, the Bueller had his moments, but didn't look too bad. But like we said again, whatever. Hauk too, but the bullpens also looked solid. That's a positive takeaway. Like Justin Wilson, the 2 games he's pitched, looks for a guy who had an ERA over 5 last year, look pretty good. Slayton's look good. Chapman's look like literally everyone who's pitched except for Weiser. I mean, Weiser just whatever. I still
That guy
I still
doesn't
have
matter
my
that much.
I still have my Weiser moments, but
Yes, we all.
yeah. But anyway, point being, we haven't even talked about Christian Campbell yet. So you like relax. I think even myself, I find myself like, what the heck? Like I still like I'm a 162 ride or die. So I like every pitch, I'm just like, come on, man. Like, oh, that should have been a strike, whatever. I'm a ride or die every pitch, 162. I'm gonna have my moments too. And then I also gotta realize and give myself a reality check, like, alrighty, calm down. It's a small sample size. Like you said, Derek. You cannot get worked up. And look, 3 of 4, they could have gotten swept for all it's worth, right? They could have easily lost the first game. The fact that they got that win was pretty good. And they were all winnable games too. I don't care. I don't care right now in March that if we miss the playoffs, we shoot. If the Red Sox miss the playoffs by one game, you cannot say you right now we cannot worry about, oh, if they miss the playoffs by one game, we're looking at games like, yesterday, like today, where they were up 2-1 and then Fitz stayed in too long. You can't worry about that. And Rafi Devers, you can't worry about that right now. You got to worry about winning games one at a time. I'm sure Cord is vocal about that too. You got to worry about that. You cannot worry about what's going to happen in the future because, quite frankly, the future hasn't happened. Worry about it day by day. Take it day by day. So that's where I'm at. Like I said, I have my moments, but I think you'll see some more of my thoughts later. So yeah,
Yeah, I think too. Like the other thing, like I feel like we have to remember as part of this is like, yeah, it's still early, but I mean, yeah, the games do count. I think it was something that was brought up on the pesky report like during spring training with myself, Jake, and Hunter, where we were like, just enjoy the games, now in spring training while they don't matter. Before everyone gets their panties in a bunch over the regular season. And what do you know? Regular season starts, people get their panties in a bunch. I mean, it figures, right? We're all just ready to see the Red Sox. I think too. There's a little bit too of like Red Sox fandom that was like, oh, this team's gonna start steamrolling teams right out the gate. And I think too, like some of the injuries that happened over spring training, like they do take a toll a little bit, right? You know, I mean, tomorrow. I mean, this weekend for the Red Sox, they're going down and playing the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. Tuesday they're starting Brian Bayo. Wednesday they're starting Lucas Giolito, right? Like, and funny enough, on that Tuesday
and
game, Brian
Yoshida's going to
Bayo,
make an appearance at some point too.
yeah, Brian Bayo's facing the Jumbo Shrimp. The Jumbo Shrimp have Edward Cabrera pitching, so that's a interesting AAA matchup, both on a rehab assignment. That's kind of fun, but
But yeah,
yeah, you lose 3 of your 6 starting pitchers that you were planning on starting the season, and you expect maybe you go into spring training thinking maybe one of them's gonna not be ready or gonna get injured, but then have 3 of them, right? Like that's now you need 2 guys for the rotation. Sean Newcomb's going to get the start tomorrow, but that's how's he gonna fare, right? He had a really, really good spring training, but we know last year in the big leagues, albeit he had time in the bullpen, like did not look that good, right? But like that's part of it also being early in the season. You know, I think there's a little bit too, at least from my point of view, like do I have a little bit of concern? Yeah, like don't get me wrong, like there's definitely concern. Rafaela has 8 plate appearances. He's got 2 strikeouts in those 8 plate appearances. He doesn't have a hit at all. Hasn't gotten on base at all. I mean, yeah, the defense is going to be amazing for Rafaela, but you can't be a non-factor in the lineup. Albeit he is the 9 hitter, but still, like Wilyer, Christian Campbell, amazing series from them both. But outside of that, there wasn't a ton there. Like Devers.
Rafaela has a hit.
Oh, sorry. Today. Sorry.
Yeah, I was
I'm
gonna
looking
say,
at I'm
wait,
looking at
sorry.
Fangraphs. Sorry, they haven't updated yet. But still, but even then though, the point is still stands that you can't have when you only have 2 guys in your lineup hitting, and they're basically have been your 6 and 7 hitters. You need someone behind the guys who are hitting to drive them in. And Connor Wong and Cedano Rafaela didn't do it. Although, albeit yes, they are your 8 and 9 hitters, but still the Red Sox need more from the entire lineup. Duran didn't have the greatest of series. Didn't have the worst of series considering what happened with Rafael Devers, who going into the Sunday game had a 77% strikeout rate, which is absurd. Casas didn't have a good series, although he's historically a slow starter, so there's kind of that to look on. Walker Buehler didn't have the greatest of starts. It was a little bit of a weird one for me, just because I don't know if it's just me, but I kind of felt like he kind of never really kind of got in a groove. I mean, he only went 4 1/3. He only had 3 strikeouts, faced 21 batters. Gave up more runs than he had strikeouts, so not ideal. But he also didn't walk anyone, so kind of a weird one. Where he just I feel like it's one of those where you just don't you just like didn't generate swing and miss, and probably maybe because it's early season. I don't know if that would have anything to do with it, but it felt like he just never really got into a groove. The one interesting thing with Bueller this year is I'm going to be interested to kind of see what his pitch usage looks like, because his four seam usage in that start was down to 18% last year, which was his only fourth most used pitch. Last year his four seam usage was up at 29%, which was his most used pitch. So I wonder how that's gonna look throughout the course of the year. He threw 5 pitches 15% of the time or more. Didn't throw any pitch more than 21% of the time in his start. It was his cutter was 21%, sweeper 20%, changeup 20%, four seam 18%, sinker 15%, and then the curveball was 6%. So I did think it was a little bit interesting there, seeing seeing what like seeing the pitch mix from Bueller, seeing how that's going to develop over the course of the year. But he didn't, like I said, he didn't really generate swing and miss in that start, considering he didn't walk anyone, but he didn't really strike out anyone either. 3 strikeouts in 4 1/3. That's probably not what we're looking at from Bueller. Which, don't get me wrong, it's not like he's been like the most amazing of strikeout guys, with the exception of maybe pre-pandemic. But even then, you would still expect them to generate a little bit more swing and miss. So you're maybe it's like early season stuff. I don't know. Kind of spitballing here, kind of getting a little bit long here on kind of Bueller, but I don't know. I just felt like it was never really get going for him. The Red Sox, I do want to also add, the Red Sox have a really weird off day on Tuesday. I just want to
It
add that.
makes sense though, because it isn't it the Orioles home opener? Or
Yeah,
did
but
they
it's still weird. They very well could have done it
the
on a
time got
Tuesday.
the time got moved too, I think.
Yeah, they very well could have just played the game on Tuesday, had a normal off day on like a Monday, but oh well. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Though, to see kind of how it looked. Houck didn't have also didn't have the most amazing of starts. I don't know. Houck had a really weird spring training. Like really, like I don't
Yeah,
want to
I think
say he
we
looked I don't want to say he looked disinterested at times in spring training, but it looked like he was just like, yeah, I'm here. I'm gonna pitch these games spring training, but like I'm just ready for the regular season. Just get me to the regular season. Or at least
yeah,
I feel like it's kind of in some ways almost like what it was.
true. Yeah. I think the other thing too is it's early.
Yeah, and I mean,
That's all I could say.
How didn't have a bad start at the beginning. Like his start, like didn't like started out all right. Like his first
No,
like
he did not. He did
four
not.
innings. Like his first 4 innings, he only gave up 1 run, I think it was, and then like the fifth he gave a run, and then in the sixth he gave up 2, and they ended up pulling him. But like, so it wasn't like, but like at the same time, in a similar sense to Bueller, like, he only had 2 strikeouts, right? He walked 3, only had 2 strikeouts. I don't know if this is like I don't know if it's a Rangers lineup thing, because Red Sox starting pitching like did not get strikeouts in this series, and I that could be a concern going forward. Like Crochet is going to get his strikeouts, right? I know he only had 4 on opening day in the 5 innings. Crochet's going to get his strikeouts, but how how can Bueller not striking out a ton of guys, not which would kind of also implicate a little bit of not getting a ton of swing and miss is concerning a little bit, but like it's only 1 start. Fitz only struck out 4, so I think their starters like overall in like the 4 games struck out maybe what 4 from Crochet, 4 from Fitz. What was Houck was 2 and Bueller was 3, so that's what 13 strikeouts in 4 games. Whereas what Raffy Devers had 12 in 4 games. Like I don't even say that as like a joke. Like I say that as like like the Red Sox starting pitching had 13 strikeouts in 4 games. Like that's a little bit concerning. You get like, and I think that also brings us back to just the pitching in general, where it's like, yeah, they didn't give up a ton of runs, but like they kind of got hurt a little bit Like how got kind of hurt, I guess, third time through the order. Bueller just didn't have a great start, and Fitz, I guess you kind of could say the third time through the order kind of bit him as well. Um, that could just be early season, but at the same time too, like the lack of strikeouts should also kind of indicate lack of swing and miss is concerning. At least lack of swing and miss in late in counts. Like that's a little bit concerning, just because we see guys like Mackenzie Gore going out and striking out 13 on opening day, and the Red Sox are struggling. We're struggling to strike guys out, struggling to get guys in when they're in scoring position. Like, yeah, these are things that probably aren't going to last long term. These are probably things that will change, but still a little bit like frustrating, I guess you could say. You can't Greg Maddux your way to 80 ground ball outs in a game.
Right.
It doesn't. It's not going to happen. You're not Greg Maddux. It ain't going to work.
Yeah. So I think it's a good time to transition to the bright points in the Red Sox offense. Willie Abreu, and I think Christian Campbell. Let's talk about Christian Campbell. Then I have a few things on Abreu. Christian Campbell, unbelievable. Looks very comfortable at the plate. Even though I had my own doubts because of his unorthodox swing, but whatever. Point being, one of the best hitters in the series. I think he had 6 hits. One of them was a homer, and the other ones were he's been getting on base. I think he walked a few times too. Just it's exactly what the Red Sox wanted to see, which is a really good thing. And Derek, me and you talk about all the time. Like, out of all these prospects, yeah, I think at least one of them is going to be a perennial all-star. We're not obviously at that level yet, but it's early, but I think there's a level degree where you're like, okay, like, do we really have something here? Because we know that pitchers are going to find a way to pitch to him, and he's going to have to adjust. And the big question is, can he learn how to adjust at the big league level? That's the biggest question for young guys. When is that going to happen? No clue. But the Red Sox have a heck of a lot of confidence in him. And I think contract-wise, they're looking to extend him too, which is very, very, very notable too. It's not something that should go unnoticed.
It's good news too. I'll say this on Campbell, right? Because it's a guy, like, the thing with Campbell, as much as I was a little bit like iffy on him making the big league roster, it wasn't like, in all honesty, like, it wasn't like necessarily like he's not ready, because like it was more so like I didn't think time in AAA would hurt him, right? There's
Right.
some guys like there are some guys like where it's like, okay, you've been in AAA long enough, like either he's gonna be a big leaguer, like he's gonna be a big leaguer, or he's not gonna be, right? Whereas Christian Campbell is like, if he spent a little bit of time in AAA, I don't think it would have hurt him. But there's clearly a reason the Red Sox decided to have him on the opening day roster, and I don't mean in a way of just because he had a good first series, but you see him play second base, then you see him go out to left field, and his first play in left field almost make a spectacular diving catch. Yeah, the defense occasionally there might be a moment here and there, but like the defense has looked solid so far. He brings versatility. He's not versatile like a Rafaela, where he's going to bring goal of defense pretty much wherever you put him. But like having that added versatility helps, right? Rafaela gets a day off. Durant can slide to center. Campbell slides to left. David Hamilton gets to play some second base, right? Willier, maybe it's even like a Willier gets a day off and Duran slides to right, and although I would assume Ref Snyder would play because that's probably would be against a lefty in all honesty, which also might be why Willier's getting an off day tomorrow. If we kind of want to just kind of
I do want to talk
circle back
about
to
that real quick. I think,
yeah, but just also too with Campbell, I think too like that versatility is going to be big because Bregman's sticking at third base. He is their third baseman, right? They're not changing on that, so he's their third baseman, and Devers is DHing. He's not playing third base. So having someone in Campbell who can kind of move around, allow you to get Hamilton in the lineup when you give a Rafaela the off day, or just you need to stick someone in the outfield for a day to get someone off their feet. And especially if there's a righty on the mound and they don't want to play Ref Snyder, or Ref Snyder isn't feeling well, like he was. I think that's like having that added versatility is big. And not that someone else could have done it, like Nick Sogard probably could have, but I think the Red Sox Christian Campbell last year, the year he had in the minor leagues, is like unheard of. Like, bonkers. Yes, he was minor league player of the year, but I don't even know if that does it justice. Like, the year he had was stupidly bonkers. Like, this is a guy who went from not even being a top 10 prospect for the Red Sox to being a top 10 prospect in baseball, right? Like, absurd. Starts the year in high A, got off to a slow start last year. I think that's what people have to remember. Have to think about a little bit. Maybe that's why spring training he struggled kind of getting his timing, getting into the groove of things. And then, like, just absolutely just took off. And when by the time he got to Portland, he was rolling on all cylinders, and goes into Portland, does even better than he did in Greenville, and then ends the year in Worcester and still played good in Worcester in the short time he had there, right? It was bonkers the year he had last year. So it's not that it's a different scenario than a guy just going from double A to the big leagues or whatever. I don't know. Like, the year he had was so bonkers last year. Like, it makes me almost think they could have moved him from high A to triple A and he would have been fine last year. Not that they should have done that, and they definitely didn't. They didn't, but like,
They would never do that.
they would
And
never do
yeah,
that.
I understand your
But
point,
you
though.
get what I'm saying, though, because the year he had was
Yes.
so bonkers. Like, in hindsight, it's like they might have been able to just move him from high A to triple A. That's because that's how good he was in. He had like a 180 weighted runs created plus in double A. Like, bonkers. Like I said, bonkers.
He started the thing that blows my mind, and that, like, I'll keep this brief. He started last year in Greenville.
That's what I'm saying.
How many guys go from starting in Greenville the year before to making the big league roster and making an impact?
Not even Jackson Holiday. Remember Jackson Holiday? Didn't even make the big league roster. Went all the way to AAA his first year in the minor leagues. Sent him back to AAA to start his second pro season. Christian Campbell, a little bit of a different situation coming out of college, right? It's a different situation, but like, talk about rise through the minor leagues. Christian Campbell got a little cup of tea with the Greenville Drive. He got 14 games with them in 2023. So his first full season in the minor leagues, starts in Greenville, mashes 822 OPS, was like a 140 or 150 weighted runs created plus. Then he goes up to Greenville and in Greenville had 976 OPS. Sorry, I was reading the 2023 stats. And has like a 150 weighted runs created plus. Then goes up to Portland, has a 1045 OPS, puts up like a 180 or like 175 weighted runs created plus, something stupid. And in his 19 games in Worcester, like 897 OPS doesn't sound impressive compared to that, but like hit 286, 412 on base, 486 slug, like 4 homers in those 19 games. Like, there's clearly something there. Like, you kind of put it all together, 20 homers and 24 stolen bases last year is it's something where there's like the Red Sox thing of saying AAA is a developmental level, almost like for Christian Campbell's an outlier to that in some ways, because don't get me wrong, Roman Anthony, amazing year last year, right? But at the same time, Roman Anthony's 20. Marcelo Meyer, had he played in AAA last year and not had to be put on the injured list with the back issue, Marcelo Meyer could be on the opening day roster, right? Could have been, had he played that month plus in AAA. You never know,
That's
right?
That's an interesting question.
He's 20, but Meyer's
if
22, right?
if they did have experience, but then we go back to like the depth of this team, and it's much deeper than it was 2 years ago.
Oh, definitely.
Like 2 years ago, when Story was out to begin the year, and Marcelo Meyer, if he had the same spring training then, and like obviously he was in the lower minors by then, but like, point being, you would have made the team because there was that hole at shortstop. There wasn't, unfortunately for him, a hole at shortstop, and the place and second base was Christian Campbell's.
Yes, and third base is now Alex Bregman, which is also
Bregman, which is a whole other conversation and a rabbit hole we won't go now.
Yes, they did have Raffy then, but like now you have Bregman and Raffy, so like it really blocks
no, you don't have Raffy.
No. He's not I mean in terms of like what I mean in terms of like, if we're thinking, oh, there's a hole for Meyer to play third base. If they didn't have Bregman, they would still have Raffy had they never gotten Bregman. But now that they have
True.
Bregman
Okay.
and Rafi,
Fine.
it's kind of this thing where
Fine. Yeah.
they're not gonna stick Meyer. I don't like. I'm saying they're not just gonna stick Meyer at be like, oh, Meyer's our third baseman, like are gonna be our backup third baseman. Like, no, because like there's no point. You have Bregman. Yeah, I know Devers is a little bit different situation this year, but like if Bregman leaves after this year, Devers very well could go back to third base, right? That's kind of what I'm saying. It's not like they're they have two all-star third basemen, except one's just de-aging this year. But you get the point I'm making. In
Yes.
some aspects. But like the thing is though, Meyer also didn't get any time in AAA. Christian Campbell, though, he's 22. Roman Anthony, the argument for Roman Anthony would have been, yeah, he played more games in AAA and had a better spring training, arguably. But also, too, Roman Anthony's only 20 years old. Like, we have to remember that as well with Roman Anthony. Like, he's only 20. He doesn't turn 21 until May. Like, May 13th. Like,
You can't even drink legally yet.
yes, it literally can't drink legally, right? It's different. Like I said, Roman Anthony, don't get me wrong, top prospect in baseball, absolutely. But there's no rush with him. And there's no rush with Christian Campbell, but the year Campbell had was so bonkers that it almost makes it like I don't want to say they had to, but the Red Sox saw what they had and went, yeah, we want a taste of that. Right? It's pretty clear that they had it set in their mind Campbell was going to be the opening day second baseman straight from the get-go in spring training, because if that wasn't the case, he wouldn't have made the roster with the spring training he had. Now, I know Vaughn Grissom didn't have the greatest spring trainings, but like they were praising David Hamilton. Like Court praised David Hamilton heading into spring training, right? Vaughn Grissom, quote unquote, like per Chad Tracy, did literally everything the team asked him to do. And he still didn't make the opening day roster. Why? Because of Christian Campbell and because of how bonkers his year was last year. And the Red Sox liked that, and they said, this is a guy who we think is going to be a perennial all-star potentially in the future, if not even better than that. We want him on our team. We think he's going to give our team the best chance to win games.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well said. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see when they come up. I think my take, I still stick behind it. Meyer gets called up before May 1st. I think, I don't know, just a hot take. Something's going to happen. Not something bad is necessarily going to happen, but I think something is going to happen.
Also, shout out Roman Anthony for his 2 homers today in the second Red Sox game. Shout out Roman Anthony.
Yeah, but one more thing. Actually, no, we'll okay, let's preview. So, okay. So this week on the slate with Major League Baseball for the Red Sox, Monday, they go to Baltimore, play 3 games. Monday, 2 p.m., I think now 3, Sean Newcomb versus Cade Povich. Off day Tuesday. Wednesday, Garrett Crochet versus Zach Eflin. Thursday, Tanner Houck versus Charlie Morton. Derek, predictions? We're doing this again.
Well, how about we do it? Let's just predict the whole week as a whole. Let's predict the whole week as a whole.
Oh, that's right.
Because we do not have a midweek. We're not doing a midweek show. We'll get into that in a second.
It's tough because we don't have the announced starters. But it doesn't matter.
We can
and then
project.
Then the home opener is this upcoming Friday, Saturday, Sunday with St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
So, Derek, what do you have?
I think the next week, I think it's going to be interesting.
6 games.
Fangraph, 6 games. Fangraphs has Buehler and Fetty, Fitz and Palante, and then Newcomb and Michaelis for the St. Louis series.
Ooh.
Yeah. So there's that. For Fangraphs, that's what they're projecting, which I could probably see happening in all honesty. I think the Red Sox, I think there's a legitimate chance they could go 4-2 in this week. I think there's a legitimate chance. They're facing, I'll put it like this. Like, I think in almost every game, they legitimately might have the better starting pitcher in this week. Outside of maybe the Newcomb starts. The Newcomb starts, maybe not. But Crochet, Eflin, give me Crochet. Houck, Morton, give me Tanner Houck over old man Charlie Morton. Buehler, Fetty, if we get the Walker Buehler that we're hoping to see, it's Walker Buehler. And then Fitz and Palante, if Fitz does what he did again, today, as we were recording here on Sunday, like, give me Richard Fitz, right? So I think I can see them going 4-2. I'm not saying they're going to lose both the Newcomb starts and win all the other 4 games, but I think I see them going 4-2 this week.
I think 4-2 is a great line. That's why I'm taking it. The old men in the Baltimore is just I just can't get behind that. The one thing I wanted to point out, Cora said that they're going to give Abreu and Casas the day off. Casas, I understand because they're facing a bunch of righties, but Abreu, like, he's your
Gives
hottest
Ref
hitter.
Snyder a game though.
How do you know he's gonna? He's yeah. Honestly,
I would assume it's gonna be Ref Snyder. Because
it
who
would
else are they
have to
gonna
be
sit? They're
unless
not
they
gonna
want
sit
to.
Duran. They
Well,
could
they'd
sit
no. They would put
Rafaela.
Duran and right like they did, and then sit on center, and then left field would be Christian Campbell, David Hamilton at second,
Yeah,
Romy
but
at
why would you
first,
put Hamilton in against a lefty?
because you can't put in what's his face, Ref Snyder. Whatever. Point being, I think you should play. I think you should play Abreu, but I'm not a manager.
They're gonna
Like
play. Watch, they're gonna play Romy.
initially, it
They're gonna
made
play
me mad.
Romy and Ref Snyder, and they're gonna just be like, oh yeah, now we have a bunch of righties in our lineup. Woohoo! And then the Orioles are gonna bring in like a lefty reliever or some stupid thing late in the game,
Yeah, we'll see.
and then
I
and
have
then you have to just pinch hit.
I
They're
have
gonna
four
bring
of
in Keegan
six.
Aiken the Orioles have Gregory Soto. Perfect. There's
Yeah,
the Red Sox are gonna
fuck
bring in the
that.
lefties at some point to pinch hit in like the middle of the game, and then they're gonna bring in a lefty, and the Red Sox are gonna be like, oh no, we don't have anyone to pinch hit for the lefties now.
Exactly. Well, I think Derek, any final thoughts as we wrap up here?
Yeah, we do have a couple things actually. Just go over quickly. New schedule for this year. We're going to be trying to upload every Monday. Upload a new podcast every Monday morning. So that will be it. We're going to move off of 2 times a week, move to just once a week, and then midweek we're going to mix it up a little bit. Try and do some Twitter Spaces. Maybe some other stuff. We're still working some of the details out on that. If we want to do anything else or not. But we're going to try and get some Twitter Spaces, maybe even turn those Twitter Spaces into podcasts that you guys can listen to as a full-blown podcast episode. We could do Red Sox games, watch-alongs maybe during the week on a Twitter Space. We'll figure it out. It could be once a week a space, could be twice a week, could be more than that, could be maybe there's a week we don't do any, but we're going to try and diversify a little bit. There's a little bit of a reason why this episode is called A New Era. We feel it's a new era of the Fenway Focus. We're excited about it. It's a new season. And we're really kind of looking to get going to it. And that also comes with a little bit of a rebranding, a little bit of a color scheme change, which we are excited about. And yeah, I think that's kind of it. We're really happy. Baseball is back for real this time, not the spring training baseball. Baseball's back for real, and we are happy to be back doing weekly episodes now, and including some stuff on our Twitter. So stay on the lookout for the Fenway Focus Twitter account. We're gonna try and get some stuff going over there, and fill in fill in there instead of our midweek show. So that's what I think. That's what we're gonna do. Jason, you have any other final thoughts?
Well, if I echo everything you said, and yeah, follow along. It's gonna be a great one. I still think, even though Sox are 1-3, still full season, anything can happen. So that'll do it for Derek. I'm Jason. Thanks for listening, and go Sox.